Welcome back to Seek Strength, and welcome back to the Seek Stand news show at 6, probably somewhere at some time at 6. Today's news show is sponsored by the release of our new supplement, Seek Sleep. It contains some of the most important micronutrients you need to get to sleep and stay asleep. Head over to seekstrength.com. Comes in a box of 30 sachets, currently lemon and lime flavour, and we're sure you'll love it. Now, today's news show, we've got a lot of strong people, but we've got a lot of cool weightlifting. And the first thing up is Luis Mosquera, which is a Colombian weightlifter, and he is, after doing something fucking ridiculous, he did a 210 kilo block clean as a 73 kilo weightlifter. Crazy.
I think we can all agree that this is absolute insanity.
So 190. Timing on the bar is ridiculous. He's got that vibration when you hit the timing just perfectly at the bottom of the clean, and it's a heavy weight. Just incredible.
210 kilos.
Incredible.
He was kind as like the fastest weightlifter ever.
Yeah.
A year and a bit, or 2 or 3 years ago, maybe.
Or one of the
fastest weightlifters. That's his like shtick. But 210 kilos is just absolutely insane.
210 kilos. So the world record in the 73s is something like, I tried to go onto the IWF website before this and it crashed, so there we go. I think it's like 198, 199 maybe. I'm certain it's not 200. So the fact that he's cleaning 210 kilos. Now, Lewis isn't someone who's new on the scene. Lewis has been around for a very long time. You know, we're looking at 2016 Olympics, and is an incredible lifter. Very fast, very powerful. So this 210 is sickening. So it'll be very interesting to see how the next couple of months go. Everyone's gearing up for the training block.
Also, for his clean, this isn't like... It's not like he's in a very, very strange position. Because his pull from the floor isn't lightningly fast. Like, he just goes very, very fast in the second pull.
What a gym needs for good block cleans is blocks that are never going to move. So you have low blocks, you have above the knee blocks, and you have jerk blocks that are just built into the ground. Now, that takes up a lot of space and obviously isn't ideal. But if I was designing a weightlifting gym for a national team, I would have those 3 different heights of blocks just absolutely cemented into the ground.
like a skate park almost.
Yeah, literally like a skate park, but for barbells and blocks, and it's for weightlifters, and there's no skating. Now, moving on, Tsuki is back training. So now we know Tsuki has been doing a bit of bodybuilding recently, I think, and he's been recovering from an injury since the 2020 Olympiad, the 2021 Olympiad. So here's a video of him squatting 100 kilos. So apparently what happened was he had a fatigue fracture in his shin, got a metal rod inserted, and the recovery didn't go as well as they hoped or as well as it might have done. So Tsuki's back here just doing some very, very slow tempo 100 kilo squats.
Yeah, it's nice to see his squat in flat shoes, because that does alter slightly from his squat technique with normal weightlifting shoes on. I wonder, does his extreme amount of kind of knees forward position and slamming into the bottom position have anything to do with that stress factor?
It's very interesting. And he's had also a stress factor in one of the bones in his arm, from what I remember years ago. So maybe it's some kind of genetic predisposition, just under the massive amount of loads, or maybe it's just his training style.
Maybe he's not drinking his milk.
Maybe he's not drinking his milk. He's Wagyu milk. So we're obviously going to see Tsuki in a couple of months. So it'll be very interesting to see what kind of shape he's in, and hopefully some other cool places in Japan. But I'd love to come over and see Tsuki just squat massive weights. Yeah. But obviously he's got to put himself first. And if he's injured, he's injured. But I'd be very excited all the same. Next up, we've got Irkali from Georgia. He's 222 kilo clean and jerk. So a very, very nice clean and jerk here. Just could not include it.
Geez, the Georgians are doing it right.
Yeah. Some of their other athletes' technique leaves a little bit to be desired, but
this is gorgeous.
Yeah, great timing on the jerk, great speed under. It's almost like the barbell didn't even achieve a certain height; he just got down underneath it.
It's this is a lovely clean and jerk. This is this the training hall that looks like it's in a building site?
This is the training hall, which is apparently in a building site. Great pull under in the clean. So really emphasizing one of the most important aspects of the clean is getting under fast.
Geez, that timing in the dip and drive is something else. No wasted energy at the top.
Georgian as an Itzy then whispering black magic into his ear as he lines up for a massive clean and jerk.
Those Alico plates with the Georgian crest on them for the 25s look pretty cool as well, don't they?
Yes, that would have been from the Europeans.
Okay.
In 20. Oh shit! I'm not sure what year that was actually.
Very cool.
Now, just this past weekend, we saw the finish of the Asian Weightlifting Championships, and it's very interesting from our point of view, outside of the Asian continent, because before we would have very rarely seen any actual sessions from the Asian Championships or seen any behind the scenes or training hall or anything like that, or a little bit more over the years, but 10 years ago you would have seen absolutely nothing. You've seen random clips on YouTube. But one of the players who's been heavily punished by the restructuring the weight classes is Akbar, who has moved into the super heavyweight class, weighed in at, I think it was like 125 plus or minus a kilo. Here's a 246 kilo clean and jerk from him, so he's the 109 kilo champion from Tokyo Olympics, but that has since been axed.
Lovely clean as always, but
Yeah.
you have to talk about how athletic and trim he looks as a super heavy.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you're kind of think, obviously going to super heavyweights is a terrible idea, and for an Olympic champion your sights are obviously going to be set on becoming a repeat Olympic champion. So I wonder, would he ever consider cutting down to 102? He doesn't look like he's carrying a lot of 125.
No.
So obviously cutting 24 odd kilos, the initial 10 kilos would probably be reasonably easy, and given the training environment and the nutrition status they'd be under, but eventually getting down to that 102, as he's competing as a 109 before, would be very difficult. So I would have to be inclined to think that trying to get to the 102s would still be a better option than going into the supers, where you've got Lasha, Gore, Lalian, and next up this young Iranian who've a huge amount of competition.
Yeah, it is. It's an incredibly competitive weight class. The one thing I would say with Akbar's long-term development is he's quite young at the moment. Like, is he just going to spend a bit more time at that super heavy and then come down maybe for the last Olympics?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I assume they have a plan in mind. Maybe just that 102 cut is just too brutal for him, and maybe it's just not sustainable, and he just has to do it. Now, speaking of his competition, we've got Ali Reza Yousefi, who's 19 years old, speaking of quite young, clean and jerking 246. And you know what? I hate the comments on these things.
Oh my
19, you mean he's 70? And you're just like, all right, okay.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we all know teenagers that look that age. It's not necessarily
100%.
It's just it's the joke is gone now. It's over. It's like
what they should be commenting about is this being absolutely insane for 246 kilos. The speed of this, the aggression of that dip and drive, the bar nearly bends around the shoulders as he's dipping down there.
If you watch his heels as well, so look how much of his foot comes off the ground. He's driving through his heels so much in the dip and drive of the jerk. The clean is the classic Iranian clean, which is smash it into the hip as far as possible and get under. And it works a lot of the time. If you do that enough in training, eventually you're going to get big weights up if you're a fucking horse.
You know what this looks like? This looks like your coach has kept you at 70% for an extra 3 singles, and you're like, can I just go up?
Yeah.
And they're saying, no, you have to do 2 more. And then you just slam 70% overhead again.
Yeah, that 246, that jerk specifically.
Yeah.
The clean, I don't love it, but it is a very good clean. But that jerk is something else. The
Yeah.
jerk looks so casual, so confident on the jerk. Next up, we've got Adi Tomiwa, which is a new Colts NFL American football player doing a power clean with what I think is 182 kilos, 82.5 potentially. So 4 bumper plates, and then it looks to be 2 metal plates. Sorry, 4 bumper plates. 3 metal plates per side and 1 metal plate, making it 180. But it's so confusing because it's a hang power clean and it looks
insane. Now,
I literally do not know what to say about this.
from this video, I'm assuming defensive linemen. They're going to be big, strong, aggressive, explosive people. But there's a difference between being big, strong, aggressive, and then being able to do this to 180 kilos.
Originally I thought this was 150, so I thought it was 320s either side, and then 5 kilo plates, you know, those big thick 5 kilo plates, like just the big disc ones. I was like, oh yeah, 150, like that makes sense. But the fact that it's 180 kilos,
Yeah.
it doesn't actually make sense anymore.
What I love on this as well is, like, as he's still extending, he pulls his feet off the ground to move them. I'd love to see what a hard, heavy one looks like for him. Does he go to 190 kilos and it looks slow?
It seems to be really, for the freakiest of freaks in American football, that the clean weights seem to be like 195 kilos plus or minus like 5 kilos. It's into the 190s, maybe the 200s if they pushed it more. But that seems to be where the freakiest of freaks seem to be getting to.
It also looks like at the end of this video, he drops the bar and is about to go for a backflip.
It does actually look like he's about to go for a backflip.
But the guy standing behind him is probably about to get a belt in the face if he does.
Now, moving on, we've got throwers at it again. We've got Vanessa from Sweden. She's a track and field athlete. She's a discus thrower, and she's squatting 190 kilos, and very, very easy.
Yeah.
You know what I love about throwers is that, unlike other sports, they have to express as much power as possible, and they've learned that you can't fake it with your essency. You can't just rely on talent. You have to do heavy training to maximize your power development. You can't do stupid fucking Bosu ball squats and sideline lunge jumps onto platforms and boxes and shit. They've learned that you have to lift heavy weights and move them as fast as possible. Otherwise, you're just going to get left behind.
There's no throwers out there with those like slosh pipes, you know, with the water in them, trying to stabilize them as they're pressing them overhead.
No.
They're just squatting big, heavy weights fast.
They're not using hand-resisted paddles in a swimming pool trying to develop power.
No, they're my favorite group of athletes.
Because they are just so honest in the fact that, and I love how consistently they all realize that you need to lift. Now, that's probably a cultural thing, but
yes,
thank fuck that cultural thing is relevant and it's very beneficial for them.
Yeah.
So Vanessa's a load of videos, so definitely stay tuned for a longer video on that because she moves really well and a lot of interesting Olympic lift variations in her lifting. Now, here we have Hagen Henderson, which sounds like a very strong name if you ask me.
Hagen Henderson.
Squatting 820 pounds. He's 23 years old. Currently, he is injured. Hagen's been on the show before and he absolutely smashes into the bottom position. So, a very aggressive. Seems to get as deep as he possibly can with his levers and his body type. And he is saying he's injured at the moment because he can't bench or deadlift right now. So, I don't know what kind of injury that is. That means he can still squat 372 kilos like this.
I actually really like his positions for the way he's built. Super aggressive on the way down as well. Like, uses that bounce well out of the bottom. His upper leg looks quite long.
He's certainly making whatever he has work anyway. Now, speaking of massive squats, once again, we have Luke Richardson, who has one of my favourite big, strong person squats. So 300 kilos for a set of 5. Always toe straight ahead. Hip width, shoulder width squat stance, and just burying these 300 kilos.
Always really fast out of the hole as well.
Yeah.
Luke reminds me of a thrower when you see him squatting.
He does actually.
You know, he's driving up into that bar the whole time. He's not doing the squat for the sake of the squat. He's doing the squat for the sake of being big and strong.
Well, I suppose to be fair, strongman is relatively close to throwing. They're very closely related, and their training would be very, very similar. Yeah, he does stand up out of the squats like a thrower.
Yeah.
Who are always at it.
Always at it.
Then we've got Mitchell Hooper, the current world's strongest man, and he's a Canadian strongman, doing 211 kilos for a set of 20. That's right, you heard him. He did 211 kilos for a set of 20. I assume he is mugging me off, throwing shade. Obviously heard that I did 200 for 19 a while back, and then he just did this for on purpose, I assume.
He gets through these squats.
I love that he's wearing like nano 10s or whatever. The most dead lawnmower cutting shoes of all the nanos that have ever been produced, and he's doing a little bit of a pause on the last rep.
The pause on the last rep really is to mug you off, Griff.
But what is it that he's doing 20 reps for? I wonder what this is in his training.
I assume this is an easy off-season session. He won World's Strongest Man a few weeks ago. His coach is like, just do some work capacity stuff. Keep that thick gelatinous blood moving around.
A lot of those strongmen are self-coached, I think. Or they're like, they don't seem to have any super formal coaching, what it looks like. A lot of them seem to kind of do maximize drug intake and then just do lots of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
He Mitchell, I don't know if he was more of a dark horse strongman, but certainly if you were outside the strongman circle, he was relatively unknown outside of his deadlift attempts. But winning the world's strongest man, saw some very funny TikToks and memes he made. So congratulations to Mitchell on winning that. Speaking of mugging people off, here we've got Ilia Schertz. He is 20 years old and he is squatting 380 kilos out of a monolift in the dungeon.
I remember, so he was on the new show a few weeks ago for doing insanely heavy squats as a very young athlete, but that doesn't even matter. These are just insanely strong squats. He seems to pause this at the top as if they expected him to do a double.
I thought he was going to do a triple, to be honest, looking at that.
Now, if you're unracking 380 kilos and the three lads who are helping you and running the monolift think you're about to do a double with it, you are an insanely strong human being.
We don't really see Ilia do any other number of lifts that much, but all we seem to see is him doing incredibly big squats. Very easy. I'd love to know what body weight Ilia is as well. So he's in the 140 kilo plus class, but I'd like to know what weight he is. So he's squatted. Currently he's bio 400 kilos at 17. What are you supposed to do with that?
That is just insane.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do there? You know?
Yeah.
How do you rationalize that? And it's not like he's wearing a squat suit, like he's wearing wraps and a belt.
Yeah.
Now I know wraps are like kind of frowned upon by the raw lifters because they consider sleeves raw, but
No, that's still insane.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, Beast of the Week is Ivan Makarov. He is probably the current contender for breaking the deadlift world record. It'll likely be in a deadlift suit with figure of eight straps, but it'll probably be in some form of competitive environment. Now, say what you will, but Ivan does seem to be the most likely person who is going to hit that up, and
Ivan could be Beast of the Year.
he is. It's kind of flabbergasting how lean he is.
I remember when Eddie was training for the boxing. Eddie had like what looked like abs, but his belly still kind of hung out over his shorts, which is normal. He's 150 or 180 kilos. Ivan is shredded.
You know, what's frightening as well is how big his erectors are.
Yeah.
Which is certainly what you do need for a massive deadlift. Someone in the comments said, cool, but you probably understand that for 505 you'll need to be at least 150 minimum. If you do it at 135, this will remain record forever. So they're saying, what he said back to them. So he said, I'll be the most handsome on the bridge.
He is in sick shape.
Yeah, I'd wonder what the reasoning here is for, like, what's he going for in terms of body composition wise and for 505, because obviously you just want to be as heavy as possible.
Yes.
Within reason to be hitting the 505.
You know, when you're that size, getting down into the position for the deadlift and that kind of belly getting in the way, I wonder, is that anything to do with it? Just making that hip hinge a small bit easier, allowing him to get into that position a small bit better. You can see even there, like, he's not in an ideal position when he starts pulling that bar off the ground.
I'd wonder, if possible as well, he just doesn't want to be massively overweight or heavy and just wants to be as lean as possible and super jacked when he's doing it, which is incredibly admirable. Really just appreciative of the fact that he just wants to stay being a horse. Now, someone who's not a horse but is quite interesting for a combat sports section is Mark Zuckerberg, the Zuck, routinely believed to be an alien or potentially an android and not actually a real human being, did his first BJJ competition in an attempt to appear to be a human. He seemed to have won his fight in the no-gi, nice little sweep there, and then he won a fight in the gi with a Kimura. It was very interesting that he did it. So apparently what he did, he had an alias, he competed under a different name. He showed up in a hat and a COVID mask, apparently, to hide his identity, and then like revealed his identity until he got on the mat. Now, he's one of several celebrities who are doing jiu-jitsu. Tom Hardy, the most notable, who's doing a lot of competitions. There is Russell Brand is a purple belt.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen not Seth Rogen. Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill is doing jiu-jitsu. Now, apparently, that jiu-jitsu is like Hollywood jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
It's like they get like PTs and stuff, but they don't really roll with people that much.
I did see when Russell Brand in this last training video, he was talking with his coach, but it looked like they were in his sitting room or like a private little area.
Okay.
And they were just working on things with him, you know. I do imagine it's very difficult if you're that famous and a multimillionaire. It's very difficult to go to a normal gym and roll because you're just going to have somebody being like, I'm going to rip your head off.
But apparently, Russell did say himself, he's like, I don't feel like a very good purple belt. He's like, because like there's teenagers come along and fuck me up. But Tom Hardy apparently will roll with absolutely anyone in the gym. So
I believe it.
One of his coaches said that he never says no to a roll. He'll roll with anyone, which certainly, from their point of view, you do have to protect yourself, because if you go with someone, you're going to get people, if you're that famous, who want to say, I tapped Tom Hardy. You know, like you're going to do that. So in one way, it's great for your training because people are always going to be trying to get you. But in another way, it's also very risky. Like obviously, if you're, you know, if you're an actor or whatever, you can't be injured. Like Zuckerberg, obviously doing competition, it's a difficult scenario.
Yeah.
Like doing any competition is obviously, you know, a big step, but doing a comp is...
I think it's also difficult in their case when you're like Rogan talks about being an actor and doing BJJ, and he was kind of, because he was away so much or because he wasn't consistently training that much, it takes a long time for him to progress through the belts or whatever, you know. I think he was saying he took a long time to go to brown belt, or maybe it was a long time to go from brown to black belt because he was away so much. I assume it's the same for these guys when they're constantly working on different big projects. They're away from their coach a lot, or else they have to get those kind of fly-in PTs where they come in, do a session with them every morning or something, but they're not really consistently training with a group. It is this is unbelievable though. Just going to a normal jiu-jitsu competition, showing up incognito, probably with 50 security guards around the place.
I wouldn't say it's unbelievable.
I think it's cool.
It's noteworthy for news. It's interesting that they did it, but I wouldn't be...
I'd like to be at a jiu-jitsu competition where he should have.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a rich person going wrestling is unbelievable, though.
No, not unbelievable, but it is cool.
Ivan Makarov's back is unbelievable.
Ivan Makarov's back defies belief.
Yeah. Thanks for watching today's news show, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And thank you for everyone who comments and tags us. So many tags every week, and it's fantastic. And you see loads of interesting things. And loads of these from this news show were from stuff you tagged us in on Instagram. So please keep tagging us. It took me like half an hour to go through all the tags today, which is fantastic. So thank you so much. Makes the news show better, gets you involved. It's great for the algorithm. It's great for everything. So thank you so much, guys.